into one. And that's a mixed bag, and you have to be careful about that, because in a way I talk about it, but we shouldn't be resentful of people in the 1% or 2% or 3%. If they made an honest living without the government, they should expand those numbers. If somebody's in that tax bracket, that income bracket, making millions, if not billions of dollars, and they do it because they get bailed out and they work the system, they get their contracts and special privileges, that shouldn't be tolerated. But this is what has happened, is that the powerful special interests have been benefiting by the pretense that we're helping poor people. The housing program is the best example of this of recent times, because it was designed to help poor people. Everybody deserves a house, right? So you don't have a right to what you want or desire or demand. You have a right to your life and your liberty, but you don't have a right to somebody else's property, so you don't have a right to... right to a free house or free food or anything free, because nothing is free and the government can't provide it. They have to steal it from somebody. And that's fine. That's fine for a while, as long as we're wealthy, as long as we can borrow, and as long as they trust our money. But eventually, it all changes, and that's what we're witnessing today. It's a change in attitude, because we know this can't continue. Because we're living off the fact that people still trust our dollar around the world. But it's fast fading. There are plans being laid to have an alternative world currency, and this will be very damaging. And we can work on it, as so many of us have in this country, to restore the Constitution and sound money and commodity money. But the other side of this argument, they know exactly what we know, and guess what? They're planning on a worldwide currency. They're talking about the United Nations, the IMF, imposing a world currency. What we need is a restoration in the concept of liberty, the understanding and the faith and confidence that it does work. And that is, I think, where we have come up short. We have lost our confidence in ourselves, and we have allowed this idea that we can become dependent on government. But now the productivity is gone way down, and we are a much poorer nation. But the one thing that is really bothersome in another way about when we become dependent on government and redistribution of wealth and all the special interests, that if people become dependent and it seems like, well, they're needy and we save them and we take care of them, actually when they get totally dependent on others, they lose their sense of worth. And I think this is what happens so often, that we lose the idea of what freedom is all about. For me, it's seeking excellence and virtue. That's what our personal responsibility is, whether it's in caring for ourselves and our family, if it's caring for our intellectual pursuits, if it's caring about our spiritual life. It is up to us. Our creative energy comes from liberty. When we lose our liberty and the government curtails us, we destroy that and destroy the sense of worth. And I think we're at that point today, because there's a lot of anger out there, because right now they're fighting and screaming in the argument up in Washington. Why don't you guys get along together? Well, they got along together. They always compromised. One side wanted to spend money on one thing, the other side wanted it on something else, and they compromised and spend it on both. Yeah. Until we're broke. So it isn't compromise. We need a definition of what truth and rightness is, and then bring people together on these issues. That's what we need, coalitions. Now, if you bring people together because of freedom, everybody might come together for a different reason. Everybody is going to use their freedom in a different way, but we all should join in supporting freedom. We accept this all the time. Yeah. We accept this all the time on our religious values. Many people have different religious values, different churches, different beliefs. Some are atheists. But if we believe in freedom, we allow people to do that. It should be that way in social affairs as well. have had this concept of freedom divided into pieces. The founders had it together right. Personal liberty and social liberty and economic liberty was all the one and the same. They never talked about it. But now we have a group defends economic liberty to a degree, and they get sloppy with that. And then another group will get and say, well, we're going to protect civil liberties, and I'm a civil libertarian, you know, and we're going to take care of that. But it's one and the same. And when you see this come about, it is not going to be a Republican revolution. It's not going to be a Democratic revolution. It's going to be a revolution of all the people coming together and saying freedom is the issue. For those who say that this is going to the past and going backwards, tell them that it's only beginning. The understanding of liberty is only a couple hundred years of a real test. That they are the past, we are the future, as far as I'm concerned. But good things are happening in the country, and one is that people like you are very numerous and growing in numbers. They're all over the country. You know, last week and continuing this week, we've been talking on the campuses and bringing people out, and we get usually these small crowds of 3,000, 4,000, up to 8,000 people. For the message, of course. But one day when we had a very nice rally, I think it was one of the very big ones in California, I anxiously looked at the internet the next morning and the media, and the article, the headline was, "Where's Ron Paul gone? Where is he?" Well, sometimes they would like to ignore us, but I think they're going to hear from us loud and clear. You all know the quotation which I use a lot, and that is, an idea whose time has come can't be stopped by any army. Ideas are powerful and they have consequences. Bad ideas have bad consequences. We put up with a lot of bad ideas, and the 20th century was a bad century because there was a lot of fighting and killing needlessly. We need a new century where we can talk more about peace and prosperity and the rule of law. That's what we need to be talking about. But so many are coming to this conclusion that these ideas are alive and well on the college campuses. But there's a lot of people who come now, and even the media is recognizing it's not only those teenagers and young college kids. It's a lot of people coming together now. And a lot of people worry about it because if they take a vote and as they say, well, 51%, we don't have 51% to pursue these beliefs. The founders knew this and they understood it, and it's estimated that maybe 7 or 8% of the people really believed and understood what the revolution was all about and what freedom was all about. But today our number is even much better than that, and the numbers are growing. But as Benjamin Franklin said, Franklin said, that what you need is an irate, tireless minority spreading brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. So the good ideas are becoming becoming pervasive. They've been around now for 30 years or so. I get a lot of credit, which I think is excessive because many more individuals have done so much hard work in the intellectual community. And it has to happen. Just as Keynesianism was an intellectual revolution and brought us havoc for 100 years, but even in the 20s and early 30s, the persistence was, yes, we still believed in free enterprise and the gold standard and all this, but behind the scenes, the intellectual community was saying, no, it's fascism and communism and socialism and interventionism and welfarism and inflationism and central banks, and they won the day. But they're losing now because their system is obviously failing and the people know it.
Yeah!
But we do need to change our policies. We need to change the spending. I'm for cutting a lot of spending, as I said.
Yeah.
But you know, even under those conditions, I still have priorities. If we work our way out of it, we could have priorities and try to take care of those who have been taught to be so dependent. You don't need to start on food stamps. I think you should start on all the foreign spending and cut that first. But there's still a lot of people who think that we have this absolute necessity to go about the world spreading our goodness. They call it spreading our exceptionalism. And this has been going on since Woodrow Wilson, you know, make the world safe for democracy. Some people have named this neo-Jacobinism, you know, this idea that we can force people to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have been an exceptional nation. We at one time understood property rights and monetary policy and contract rights, limited government, and yet today we have lost that. But if you are an exceptional nation, if we are to be an exceptional nation, people will want to emulate us. They'll want to copy us. You can't go overseas and tell them, do this or if you do it, we'll give you money. If you don't do it, we'll bomb you. That's not the way to change the world. So often the argument is used against legalizing freedom of choice in society. When people hurt each other and damage each other, obviously that's the purpose of government, to take care of those problems. But when people spend their money in a way that you don't approve or have a lifestyle that you don't approve of, and you say the government has to come in and change it, then all of a sudden, you know, what we do is we just get into more and more trouble. And people will say, well, I can't allow people to spend their money. They might not do it wisely. I can't allow them to do this. They might become a gambler and it'll be all my fault because I allowed them to do this. But you know, by legalizing something and legalizing freedom of choice, you don't endorse it because people use their religion in a way you don't want to. You don't endorse their religion. So I think probably the most important thing for me personally is thinking about striving for excellence and virtue and dealing with spiritual life. And that should be in the business of government. And under those conditions, though, government should just stay out of it. Now, if we can accept that for our spiritual life and our intellectual life, why is it that we automatically say we need the FDA to tell us everything we ever do about putting what we put into our own bodies? You know, I've talked for a long time about the war on drugs. I think the war on drugs has been a total failure. I think drugs are horrible. I think they're a mess, but I also know that drug addiction of prescription drugs is a lot worse than illegal drugs.
Yeah!
And I also know that addiction shouldn't be a crime, and we shouldn't throw people in prison that didn't commit a violent crime and turn them into violent criminals. Our country tried prohibition back when they passed the 18th Amendment, And, you know, just think of the difference in that period of time. They actually amended the Constitution to change this and give the power to the government. Today, the government just doesn't never think about it. But that was a total failure, so the people woke up and said we had to repeal the prohibition.